Hi everyone, welcome back to the Twisted Hazel. On this channel I like to discuss gear and style, mostly with relation to heritage, fashion and retro style. And today we're talking about the German Army trainer, or otherwise known as the Gat. Now, these are very popular at the moment, mostly in part to the brand Maison Margiela, who have, if you have a look anywhere on Instagram and YouTube and all over the internet, they are everywhere. There are reviews of them all over the place. They are a beautiful shoe. They are actually a replica of a shoe that was created for the German Army, but if you want those shoes, you're going to be paying a hefty sum. Maison Margiela sells them for about $500 US, which is pretty much out of range for a lot of people. So in this video, I'm going to go through a bunch of different options because there are a lot of people that make these shoes, and tell you a bit about the ones that I bought, which probably the cheapest on this list. And I'll go through that in a sec, but I'll give you a little bit of a history of the shoe first, and then I'll go through and show you all the different options that are a little bit less pricey than the Maison Margielas. So the profile of this shoe had its beginnings way back in the 1930s. It was actually originally based off of a track shoe that was used at the 1936 Olympic Games, which had running spikes on them. And if you look at pictures of those old ones, they look quite different in terms of style, but the silhouette is very similar. And it was actually, but the iteration that we see these days is very much based off the trainers that were used by the German Army in the 1970s and 1980s. They were actually mostly produced by Adidas for the German Army, and they used them for their indoor PT. So in the 1980s, they actually started to become popular outside of the German Army, probably because people were buying ex-army from surplus stores. And so Adidas were, I believe, the first that actually started releasing them for general consumers. There are conflicting stories about whether it was Puma or Adidas who first came up with them, because if you know the history of those two companies, it was actually started by, those two companies were started by brothers. But I believe most people believe that it was Adidas who were the ones that first came up with it, and they were the ones that were making the shoes for the German Army. Since then, the influence of the Gat has gone all throughout sneaker culture, influencing lots of brands. You definitely see it through a lot of Adidas shoes, from the Gazelle and the Handball Special. It's influenced Puma, they've influenced the Gola, the British brand Gola. They've influenced Onitsuka Tiger and even Vans and other American sneakers. And recently they have sort of, as I said, they've had a huge resurgence looking back at the original design and the original style. I guess the OG style is pretty much similar to what I've got here. It's an all leather upper with suede blocking around the laces and the toe and on the side. A lot of the originals I see didn't have the suede backs. Some of them have the suede backs, some don't. But one thing that's very common on all of them is the rubber gum sole and the impression with the little targets and the three dots, and the patterns is very similar throughout a lot of them. But this is your basic design. There's lots of different colors these days. There's lots of different tweaks, and different brands have their own take on them. These ones here I actually bought off of AliExpress. They are very, very cheap. These ones cost me about 25 US dollars, and they're probably the absolute cheapest. You can get them for even cheaper than that, but they're not going to be made out of leather. As a matter of fact, these are made out of leather. The upper and the suede is actually leather, but the inside is fake leather, and it's got a pretty cheap insole. Reason I bought these ones was because I wasn't sure if this was really my style. So I wanted to try them out first, so I went for something really cheap, but I didn't want to get something that was completely man-made. So I got like the cheapest, nicest looking, what I thought was nicest looking. Look, for 25 bucks, you get what you pay for. They are very light, which is nice, but they are very thin. The inside really does smell like fake leather. It does not smell like leather, but they feel nice. They're actually fairly comfortable, but I would not expect these to last very long at all. And like the insole and everything's very cheap. But if you really can't afford anything else and you really want to try them out, then you know, these actually aren't too bad. The store that I got them from is a store called All Stylish Shoes, I think. No, All Stylish Store is what the store's called on AliExpress. They sell a lot of cheap stuff, and to be honest, the pictures didn't actually match these. The pictures, I'll try and show you on their page. The pictures actually show it's white, but it's actually a grey suede upper and white laces. Strangely enough, I actually prefer the lighter beige and the cream laces, so I actually wasn't upset, but they do not match the pictures that they have on there, so just be aware of that. But for 24 bucks, you know, you expect to get what you get. So what other options are there? Well, I've got nine other options for you, ranging in price from not much more expensive than these, right up to probably about half the price of the Maison Margielas. They are all brands that I've either researched really well and read a lot of reviews and things on, or some of them I have actually even touched and tried on and myself in stores. So we'll go through them. I'll start with the cheapest first, and then we'll have a look and we'll go up from there, and I'll give you a bit of information about them. There are lots and lots and lots of other brands out there. So look, if you do have other suggestions, if you think that my suggestions aren't that great and you would like to tell me about some other brands that you'd prefer, then please comment below. That would be fantastic. Also guys, just before we go on, if you're enjoying this video and you want to see more of them, I would love it if you would honor me with a thumbs up and a subscribe. It really helps grow the channel, so I would love it if you could do that. That would be absolutely fantastic. So enough of that, let's get on to my suggestions. So just before we get started, I have not got affiliations. I am not sponsored. I have not been gifted any of these shoes. So this is all completely my own opinion. The shoes that I am wearing, I purchased myself. So just so you're aware that there is no sponsorship, and these are my personal, unbiased views on these products. So the first, I'll quickly firstly show you the shoes that I bought. They're these ones here from All Stylish Store on AliExpress. And as you can see, as I mentioned before, they're actually not the same coloring as what I purchased, as what I received. But they, like I said, they are a very nice shoe for only 25 US dollars. But like I said, they are very cheap and I do not expect them to last very long. But if you just want to try them out, this is probably the cheapest that I would recommend you go for. So next is actually another AliExpress brand. This is a brand called Maison. Now Maison actually do a lot of different shoes. They actually have lots of different styles of boots. They do actually lots of different types of denim as well, and clothing. So they are a cheaper brand, but they are a brand that I trust, I guess, at the cheaper end of the market. Their version of the Gat is white with the grey, as you can see, and the main difference between these and the ones that I've got, they are a little bit more expensive, as you can see, $39, and in the upcoming sale they're going to be reduced to about $36, $37. But these are actually leather lined, so the lining inside is actually, I believe, calf skin, I think, but it is leather lined. So if you want to spend a little bit more than what I did and get something a little bit better, you could go for these ones. The great thing about Madden is they actually do a whole range of different types of Gat sneakers. They do some that are canvas, they do some that are different fabrics, but their basic one is this one here. The next sneaker is the OG. It's the Adidas BW Army shoe. This is a re-release and they're a little bit hard to get. They seem to be sold out everywhere at the moment. I did find them on available on a website called Kicks Crew. This style here, where it doesn't have the suede on the side, it just has the plain white leather stripe. And they're ranging in price depending on size from $73 US up to $175 US dollars. On the Australian website, they are sold out, but they were selling for 180 Australian dollars, which is about 110, 120 US dollars. They are all leather with the gum sole, and they do have the leather back rather than having the suede back. But being that they're Adidas, they are well made, and if you can find the availability of find them available somewhere, they're probably a very good option. They are a little bit more heavily branded with the Adidas symbol on the tongue and on the side of the sole. So if you prefer something a bit cleaner with less branding on it, then you might want to choose a different brand. But you can go for the actual Adidas ones if you want. My next one is another AliExpress brand. This is Red Tornado. They are similar to Madden in that they do a lot of clothing, a lot of retro clothing based on American sort of vintage styling. And they do their Gat in full leather as well. They are a bit more expensive. They are fully leather lined. And for $94 or $89 in the upcoming sale, I think these are a really good buy. Red Tornado, I have not purchased their shoes before, but I have seen they do make boots as well as shoes, and I know that they are very well regarded amongst people who have purchased their shoes and boots before. Very well made. I know their clothing is very well made, and so I would expect that their shoes are very well made as well. The only thing about this is the insole is not leather. It does look leather, but it's actually not, but it is fully leather lined, as well as the suede, as well as the leather upper and the leather suede on the upper. If you want to go for another original brand, you can go for Puma. Puma do their army trainer. I have seen them, there's a few different colors out there. This one I quite like. It's got the red swipe on the side. Being that it's Puma, they obviously do their own style without the suede line across. They basically have their Puma stripe. Puma, once again, very good brand, but it is once again heavily branded, as these big name brands are. But once again, all leather upper, all leather suede. I'm not sure about the insole. Sorry, not the insole, the lining, whether it's leather lined or not. They did do a full cream version without the red, where the stripe is actually beige, but I can't seem to find that available anywhere at the moment. There is on the Australian website for JD Sports. They have the beige version with the black sole available, and they're around about $95 US, which is very reasonably priced. Once again, same with most Puma shoes, very well made. But if you want something a little bit different and you don't mind the branding, or you do like the branding, then Puma has their option as well. Now, this brand Novesta is a brand that is quite new to me. That I'm actually been viewing their website and looking at their shoes a lot. They do a lot of canvas shoes. They're basically their own take, I guess, on the Converse style shoes, but they also do their own version of the Gat. They're actually a Slovakian company, and their shoes are actually made in Slovakia, so they're basically owned and made in the same country in Europe. They're becoming very popular, Novesta, in both Europe and also Japan, and their Gat is very, very classic, very streamlined. They have the once again, all leather upper, leather suede, gum rubber sole. It is leather lined. The branding on it, they do have branding on both the, let's see if I can show you here. Yes, you can see they've got branding on both the tongue, and there's also branding on the heel, but it's fairly subtle on, but once again, if you want to steer away and have much, without too much branding on them. They're currently sold out in a lot of places. End Clothing in the UK did stock them, and they do have them in black, I believe, but they're out of the cream and white. You can buy them from Novesta direct as well, but they, I believe most sizes are out of stock even on their own website. But Novesta, but keep an eye out, because I'm sure that they will release another drop of them, or if you're lucky enough to have the shoe size they've got available, then they are a really good option. Novesta are very well made, and like I said, they are becoming a big brand that's growing. Going for an Australian brand now, this is Rolly Shoes. Rolly started in Melbourne, and they actually started by being a women's sneaker shoe store, and they've now started to introduce men's as well. So, and their particular take on the Gat is the Pace. Now, they do actually sell this in men's as well as women's versions, and they've very much taken it in their own style. It's all leather lined, suede blocking on the front, but they've got their own unique little design on the side. The thing that I'll see if I can find it here, but what I quite liked, they don't show, oh, there we are, is that I do really like what they've done there. They've used obviously the heritage of it being an army sneaker, and they've actually put a little code there that if you look at it in the right way, actually says Rolly. So I just really liked that nice little touch to both recognise that the heritage of this design, but their own little twist and own little nod to their own brand. They're $160 US, and I do know that they are very well made. Rolly do make excellent, well-made shoes. As a matter of fact, my wife absolutely swears by them. She probably has more Rollies than anyone else I know. So if you want an Australian design, go for the Rollies. Now, going for a shoe that is not strictly a Gat, but very much influenced by that, is the Gola Harrier Tweed Trainers. Now, these are actually in the Gola's Made in England collection. Most of their shoes are made overseas now, but they do a handful of styles that are made in England, and this particular one, the men's Harrier Tweed, is made in England. It's a little bit different. It has it's all leather, and it's leather on the sides rather than it being suede. And the gum sole is obviously a slightly different design than the regular Gat. I really like the tweed lining rather than the leather lining, and the fact that they're made in England as well. For a lot, considering that probably 99% of shoes these days are no longer made in the Western countries where they originally came from. It's nice to see that some things are still being made locally where the brand started. These are $223, so they're on the more expensive side of things, but being that they are made in England and that they are, like I said, a fun take with the tweed lining, I certainly think they're worth investing in, and especially if you want something that's a little bit different than the regular Gat. They aren't probably as slimlined as the classic Gat. They're probably moving more towards that skateboard sneaker style, but they are a different option that you may want to give a go. If you do want a cheaper option, you do like the Gola, they do have their classic men's Harrier 001 trainer, which is only $125. Very, very similar to the Made in England ones, except it is just leather lined. It's not, and it's suede on the blocking and at the back, rather than the leather. But they're not made in England, these ones, so that's why the price is significantly cheaper. And if you wanted something just a little bit cheaper, again, they do also do this one, which is the Hurricane. This one is all suede, and they have lots of different color options. It's just a slightly different design, maybe a little bit more slimline than the Harrier, but that's another option, a little bit cheaper at $105. Last and definitely not least, and these are probably the ones I'm going to eventually invest in myself. These are the Oliver Cabell Gats. They're $239.99, so $240. However, you can get $79 off at the moment with their Black Friday deal. So it's actually a very good deal. The thing I love about Oliver Cabell is that they actually list all the different materials, and you can actually have a look. They have a breakdown of all of the components and how it all costs. These are an Italian brand. They are made in Italy. They use Italian leather. They use Italian-made rubber soles. They are handmade. I believe they are they use a machine to do the lasting, but they are. But apart from that, all the stitching and everything is done by hand. They are probably they're probably not quite to the same, I guess, construction and luxury materials as the Maison Margiela's, but for a fully Italian made shoe using Italian leather, Italian lined, Italian products, hand stitched, it's an excellent option. They're absolutely beautiful. They're a slightly different sort of design on the heel. So rather than having the suede actually folds over, and rather than coming right down the back of the heel. But I really love these. I think they're absolutely beautiful. I've actually seen some reviews online for their other shoes, and they hold a very high regard with a lot of reviewers. So these would probably be my choice. They are the most expensive out of this lot, but they're still around half the price of the Maison Margiela's. And for the quality and for the make and everything, they are an absolute fantastic option to go for. They have very clean lines, no big branding all over them. So if you just want something that's very clean lined, then I would certainly recommend going for the Oliver Cabells. Well, that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching the video. Hope you all enjoyed my suggestions, and if you don't like my suggestions, please let me know and tell me what you think is better suggestions. I tried to go for things. There are lots of other brands out there, and especially if you're having a look around on AliExpress, there are a ton of different small makers and things that do their own versions of the Gat. But I hope you enjoyed what I suggested, and I hope to see you all next time. Thanks for watching.